Hey guys, Eric here from LivinLite.net. We're actually staying at a friend's house here up in the Northeast for about a month right now. Nice of them to allow us to stay here for free. The good news is we've got water hookups and we have electricity. The bad news is we do not have a sewer hookup. So today we're going to actually test out a device called a flow jet, and this is it right here. And essentially what it does is it allows you to dump your gray and black water tanks into a common household toilet. So we're going to try that out and see if it works. Alright, so before we get started with showing you whether or not the flow jet system works, and yes, this is my first time trying it with a full black tank. I did test it with some just straight water and it worked for that, but this is going to be the first real test, so you guys will see if this works or not. Before we do that, I want to show you a little bit about what we had to do to our coach to get it ready for the flow jet to work. The real only thing you have to do is you've got to run a pretty heavy gauge power wire from your battery bank, which in our case with the Integra coach is right behind the passenger side, right by the main entrance at the front of the coach, to our wet bay, which is located on the driver's side right in front of the rear tires. Alright, as you can see here, here's our battery bank, and you can see where our wire is initially hooked up and fed up to the main chassis of our coach and down back through our storage bays and to our wet bay. Once you get back here to the wet bay, you'll see our marine wire, which is right here, and it's running from the front where we just showed you. We put some heat shrink here and soldered the connections for this end, which comes with the flow jet. Alright, so before we get started, let's talk about everything you're going to need. Obviously you're going to need your flow jet device, which comes in this nice carrying case. As you can see here, it has a handy little trigger. The trigger actually has a fuse built into the handle, which is nice feature. Next things you're going to need a heavy duty 3/4 inch, definitely recommended, garden hose. This hose cannot be reused for much else once you start using it for wastewater, so don't plan on it being part of your standard freshwater hookups or anything like that. We picked this hose up at Home Depot. It's a pretty good hose. I think it was about $59, and that's for a 75 footer. Really good connections. Really happy with this hose. They also sell it on Amazon. We'll put you a link in the video. So that's pretty much it. You need a hose, and you need a flow jet, and you need to do the wiring. So let's get started and see how we do. And behind me is the restroom. So we've got pretty standard setup, toilet. We all know how that works. So our hose is going into the toilet, and we have a brick sitting on top of the hose to make sure the hose stays in the toilet. We don't have a toilet seat, unfortunately, on this toilet, but if we did, we would close it and put the brick on top of the toilet seat, really make sure that hose stays put. If you have a spotter, second person, and they're going to hold the hose, that's a rough job. I don't know if I'd want to do it, but that is another way to make sure that that hose stays secure. Alright, so we're ready to go. We've got our waste hose hooked up nice and tight. Our rinse hose is also tight and in the off position. And let's hook up our electricity. I always do this last just in case for some reason that switch is in the on position. I do not want it turning on until I'm ready for it to be turned on. We look here on our black tank, we're at 54%, about half full on the black, so let's see how, we'll also let you know how long this takes, which we'll put down here in terms of how much time for half a tank. Gray is closed, black is closed. We're going to go ahead and open up the black, which we're good, and ignition. Loud. We're showing 20, not 25. About halfway done. It's been about a minute. Tank monitor now says 0. And that's the noise we were looking for. So the pump noticeably changes noise when it's finished. And that's a nice, I don't think it's a feature, but it's nice to know. You can really tell when it's all done. So we're going to now turn on our rinse water system, leave our black open, and that's going to put some fresh water into our black tank to clean it out. I like to let that fill up until the tank meter says about 15%, something like that, a few gallons, and then turn the pump back on, and that'll clean up the tank a bit. Alright, so we back flush the black tank a bunch of times with fresh water, and we're going to go ahead and close the black now, but I'm not 100% sure that that hose is going to be clean at this point. So what I'm going to do now is turn on the pump, and then I'm going to turn on the rinse valve so that the black is closed, but that will just push fresh water straight through my hose. I'll run that for about a minute, make sure that hose is nice and clean, or as clean as it's going to be, and that'll also be very useful on the other end, because that'll help me just make sure the toilet in the bathroom is nice and clean as well. So we're going to do that now. Alright, so we're at the other end. As you can see, everything's nice and clean. You know, clear. Alright, so we let that run. We saw the toilet was nice and clear, and we're pretty much ready to disconnect. So I'm going to go turn off this hose, unhook these wires, pull it off, put it away, and that was it. So, what's the verdict? Well, it's for cleaning out your black water tank, so it's not particularly exciting, and it's kind of hard to get excited about any product that has to do with that, but it does work, and it works pretty well. My recommendation is make sure you get a heavy gauge hose, and make sure you run some good gauge wire to that motor to make sure you don't have any premature motor burnout, because your motor burning out in the middle of that process would be a unpleasant cleanup experience. So those are my two things. It's a little too early for us to tell how long it's going to last, but it's been good for us so far, and you know, if you don't have a traditional dump station available, it's a great alternative for RVs and for campers. Thanks for watching, guys.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can also subscribe to the blog directly on LivinLite.net, and you'll receive email updates of all of our posts.